Greetings and welcome to another episode of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. Erin McKinley, and today I have Dianne Killebrew and Kerri Baxter from the Dietetic Internship at Vanderbilt Medical Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. McKinley. We are so excited to be here, and we've got a beautiful picture of Vanderbilt on our screen there so that you can see where we are in Nashville. We're going to move to the next slide and just do a little introduction of myself and Kerri, who's our education coordinator. So I actually many years ago did my internship here at Vanderbilt, and I love the teaching medical center environment. And I always thought, gee, I want to go back to Vanderbilt someday. But before I came back, I did my undergraduate work at Lipscomb University here in Nashville, and then got my master's in education here at Vanderbilt. Then I went off and worked for about 15 years in healthcare operations management, and then had an opportunity to come back here at Vanderbilt as education coordinator. And about 2 years ago, I moved into the program director role. So I love working at Vanderbilt. It's a really fun environment, and there's always something new happening. And more than anything, I really enjoy working with interns and watching them grow and find their path in life. So I'm glad that you're joining us today and giving us a chance to talk about our internship program here at Vanderbilt. So I'm going to let Kerri do an introduction so you can find out who she is.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you all today. I'm actually originally from Alabama, so I'm not a local Nashvilleian. I did my undergraduate work at the University of Kentucky and my internship and master's at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. After that, I have worked in Alabama and Maryland before coming back south to Nashville and Vanderbilt, and I found my home at Vanderbilt about 5 years ago. I've really enjoyed being here. I have worked in various places in the clinical environment. So I've worked in the medicine, surgical, transplant departments. I've really enjoyed being a preceptor as well. So I was a preceptor before I stepped into the education coordinator role. That was probably my very favorite thing to do would be precept interns. And so I've been enjoying continuing working with interns in this role. And I look forward to meeting all of you today.
Thanks, Kerri. Well, our next slide, we've just graduated a class of 15, and you can see their pictures here. We call it Celebrating the Difference Makers because they did work hard while they were here, and I hope they learned a lot. They actually call themselves the COVID class because COVID hit in March, and it really kind of changed our world a bit, but we moved to a remote status and really flipped all of our curriculum around, and we kept rolling. And folks graduated on June 18th successfully. So all of our existing preceptors really became our support that provided grand rounds, conversations with interns. We did a lot of online training. We Zoomed to cattle farms and offsite venues. So we really kept it very busy and kept people involved. So it was a learning process for all of us. So, but out of those 15, some are still searching for jobs, but some also, as a sampling, have jobs at WIC clinics. One is working in nutrition support. One is in Texas as a patient services manager. One stayed in Nashville as an entrepreneur doing social media. And working for a magazine here called Edible Nashville. Another one just started working at a disordered eating clinic a few miles outside of the city. One is in Texas again, and she's working with a sports team. Another graduate started her master's And we have one more. I think, Kerri, am I leaving out anybody? I think, one is working in pharmaceutical sales.
Yes.
Selling supplements for pediatrics. So we were really very excited that everybody graduated successfully, and they're in the job market now. So if you notice on the second slide, you can kind of see what difference makers means for us, and it tells you what 15 people did in 10 months. It's pretty amazing. But they reached 5,000 Nashvillians with innovative nutrition programs. They delivered medical nutrition therapy to the bedside to 420 patients. They became experts at calculating interval feedings for 350 patients. And they conducted 60 hours of one-on-one health and wellness coaching for faculty and staff, and some for community members as well. The last bullet on the slide, you can see they provided 138 hours of in-kind nutrition counseling at a medical student-run clinic. They were the nutrition care providers. So they accomplished a lot. But if you look on the next page, you can see that we were very excited on August 17th rather. We welcomed 16 new difference makers to Vanderbilt. And we look a lot different today than we did in March, for sure. You can see all of our incoming interns have masks on, and we're all social distancing. But we're here, we're present, we're learning, we've got classes going. Interns started rotations this week. So we are moving ahead, but we're staying safe in the process. But it definitely is a new world for all of us as to how we go about learning and teaching and being part of a supervised practice network. So on the next page, I'm going to shock you with a map. And one thing that we always celebrate is, where is everybody from? And so this particular class of interns, they're from 11 states, 2 countries, and they represent 14 universities. And honestly, I think that this is one of the favorite things I have about the internship, is that people come from all over. And so it's such a great mix of culture and conversation and food trends. It just really makes for an awesome experience. And, you know, the special thing about it is that people leave this internship with lifelong friends and colleagues that they'll stay connected with for a long time. So I want to move next and let you kind of ponder a bit on some fast facts about Vanderbilt's internship. So we're 10 months in length. We begin each year mid-August and we finish mid-June. We have a concentration in disease management and health promotion. So that really lets us cover the whole 360-degree angle of populations and health and systems and communities. We have a very large preceptor network of 65 dietitians and professionals that have come together to help grow and train interns. It's quite a village of support. Our training locations, you can see, are here at the medical center. We have a children's hospital that's right next door. We have a university on this campus, and we also have rotations in the Nashville community. I know applicants always ask how far do they have to drive, and our probably the closest or the farthest away is about 45-minute drive. So we're very lucky in that sense that most of our experiences are close by. We've got an awesome supervised practice network that we really spend a lot of time building and nurturing and taking care of. You see the number 65 again. We have 30 weeks of core rotations, and that includes 15 weeks in health promotion and 15 weeks in disease management. And everybody does everything. So, and that's the other exciting part of it, is you get to experience a lot of variety, and you get to find out, gee, I really like that experience, or I never want to do that again in my life. And that's okay. You're really discovering what resonates and works for you. So it also includes 2 weeks of entry-level practice in health promotion and 2 weeks of entry-level practice in disease management. Those 4 weeks of experiences, we provide you a list of options of what's available. You select the option and you go on that site, and for 2 weeks, you're the entry-level practitioner. So it's very exciting for interns to spread their wings and really grow. And our internship ends with 2 weeks focused in a concentration area. So oftentimes that's coming back to the medical center and really spending time on a patient unit to really cement your clinical skills and your clinical judgment. So just a comparison for you, we really use a progression as we think about moving from core rotations to concentration. And think for just a minute, a core rotation is like you were in driver training. And an entry-level practice experience is like all of a sudden you're driving the bus. And a concentration experience is like you're flying a plane. So you can just feel the progression and the intensity grow and your skills grow along the way. So you're already peeping at a slide of examples of disease management, and Kerri's going to walk us through these experiences.
All right, so with the management rotation, there's really just a wide variety of patient populations that will be seen. So I won't read all of the bullet points to you, but I will go over a little bit about what we do here at Vanderbilt. So as Dianne mentioned, we do have several different settings where you see patients, and that might be inpatient or outpatient. We have a large academic medical center, a freestanding children's hospital. We also see patients. We've converted as a medical center, a mall, into now medical clinics. And so we have this huge building that has different medical clinics throughout. So our interns spend some time there doing outpatient counseling. We have a lot of focus in critical care areas. So we actually have 9 different critical care units, and those are in both the adult and children's hospitals. So if you have an interested in intensive care units and critical care, this is a great place to get a lot of experience in different types of critical care. We also have several different organ transplant programs, a very large transplant center. So we have heart transplant, liver transplant, kidney and pancreas transplant, and lung transplant. So you get to see a variety of different things there, working with the interdisciplinary team. So that's something that's very important across the medical center. We have dietitians that participate in rounds, take interns on rounds with them, participate in selection meetings and different things where interns really get to participate as part of the interdisciplinary team. Another unique thing about Vanderbilt and being a large academic medical center is that all of the different disciplines are used to having students and interns. So it's not unusual at all to have students and interns on rounds, speaking up, talking to attending physicians on rounds. It's encouraged. We like for our interns to get involved, be leaders and difference makers. And so that's something that's really special, I think, about our internship, that we really get interns involved in the care of patients. So I won't go through all of the bullets, but it's just a really wide variety of different disease management type rotations in a variety of settings.
Great, thank you, Kerri. And as you look, we like to think of it as we fill 2 sides of your brain. One side is disease management, and the other side of your brain that we feel is health promotion. So you get a very balanced view of opportunities, I think. And really, when we design our programming and our rotation, it really is good with a good hefty dose of innovation. So we look for very unique opportunities for interns to experience. And I'll just hit some highlights on this slide as well. But our cardiac rehab, for example, is a blend of working in a cardiology clinic, pediatrics and adolescents, and then moving to a medically based fitness center to really see how people live out those diet prescriptions. We have a huge, gigantic food system here, both at the adult and the pediatric hospitals. And interns spend time with dietitians. We have looking both at front lines, at operations, and at administration levels. Our food bank is very unique in Nashville. And I mention it because we had an LSU graduate that worked at our local food bank. It's the size of a football stadium, and it's a very unique operation. And the other new rotations that we're bringing on this year is a 2-week experience both in medical and surgical weight loss. Health literacy is a little bit of an unusual rotation that you might find. And this team develops all of our patient education materials for the entire medical center. And so interns spend time learning how to package information. And really we package everything at a 5th grade reading level. And that sounds easy, but it's very difficult to translate all of those textbook medical lingo into common language that everyone can understand. The other unique experience, I think, is in community nutrition, and that's a 1-week rotation, and you move around a lot. You spend time in a WIC clinic, you work at an AIDS HIV clinic, and then you spend time with a medical center-based research initiative that we're doing that's a community-supported agriculture program. Our wellness coaching is another unique feature that we have where we use a Well Coaches platform for training, and interns spend actually 8 weeks working one-on-one with a client as their personal health coach. And I think our model that we use with coaching and counseling is really to end up with a blended coaching and counseling model so that when you leave here, you really work both of those skill sets when you're working with patients. An example of how I explain that to interns is to say your M&T skills are like a cake and your coaching skills are like the icing on the cake. So it just makes the M&T better. But it's very unique skill sets and a unique blending that we do. So our next page just really showcases nicely some of our innovative programming and leadership training, and we feature a leadership institute. So that is our goal, is that we want to produce leaders, and we hope at some point that we produce a leader of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. We'd love to see a graduate be a president of the Academy. And so we spend a lot of time on communication skills and how really you work with interprofessional teams.
So the qualitative research and poster presentation, that's something that's pretty special. We partner each year with a Vanderbilt University qualitative research professor and researcher, and he goes through with interns what qualitative research is, and he helps them to design and implement their own study and coaches them through the process of a research study. So they go from starting from scratch and coming up with ideas, looking at how to implement their research, looking at the data that they collect and how to collect that data. And it ends with the poster presentation. So the poster presentation is really special. We get to see the interns' hard work from throughout the year. We've in the past done that with preceptors coming, and they all look forward to seeing what the interns have been working on. We did that virtually this past year. And so it's something that's really fun. It's a really great way to showcase interns' research. The next thing is focus on critical care nutrition. So I mentioned that we have 9 different critical care units. So that's something that's pretty unique and exciting. We are a trauma 1 or level 1 center. So we have different trauma and burn type ICUs that you can see for both adult and children's hospital, medical, surgical intensive care units, cardiovascular, pediatric intensive care, pediatric cardiology intensive care, and also a NICU. So if you have an interest in those types of things, you can see those in regular rotations and also potentially in an entry-level practice setting. So that's something that interns tend to be pretty excited about. The interprofessional geriatric case competition, so that happens in February. And it's been really fun. Interns get together with students from other disciplines. So there may be medical students, dental students, pharmacy students, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, social work. So really the whole team is together, and they work up a case in teams and then present their findings and their plans when we come all together. And so it's a really fun time. You get to see people from around the state, and the students come from all over the state, get together at another Vanderbilt college called McKinley. It's really interesting, and it gives some good insight on how you would put together a geriatrics case. So that has been something that's been really fun in the past, and is a great opportunity to explore interdisciplinary teaming further.
Other things I'll spotlight on this particular page, we do a food writers workshop every year. So we have a connection with the restaurant reviewer for our Tennessean, which is our local newspaper, and she does some writing training with interns. We go off site. We eat a meal together at a new restaurant in town, for example, and we come back and interns write an article about their restaurant and review it. And then Nancy Vianu will review all the interns' editorial comments and provide them feedback. So that's a very unique, fun experience. We do an I Want a Job series that lasts about 6 weeks. In the spring, because everybody that walked in our door as an intern wants to leave our door with a job. So that's very important.
For the Simulation Lab series, so the Simulation Lab is located here on main campus, and there is an opportunity to do both counseling in the Simulation Lab and in-person things such as nutrition-focused physical exams. And so one thing that we've done that's been a really great collaboration has been to have interns work up a case study patient. So getting a lot of information from, a clinical record and developing what types of things that they would like to counsel a patient on. And then we have actual actors who are that patient, and the interns get to practice counseling them. So they may have a different curveball or something that comes in, just like in a real life scenario, to really hone their counseling skills. And like Dianne mentioned, the blended coaching and counseling model, and really put that to use and get really good practice in before working with clients in person.
Okay, I want to move on to the next slide there, because I want to be respectful of your time. I'm really excited to say that people that graduate from our program work in a variety of settings, and I think that's reflective of all the experiences that they have access to while they're interns. But you can see everything from a clinical dietitian to a WIC mobile van, to someone who's a patient services manager, to integral product sales, corporate wellness. So it's really the gamut. And, I always tell interns, if you dream it, you can do it. And I think we're very supportive of people finding a job that matches their niche and what they feel like they want to contribute and do. So our last slide on there really just lets you know that we have a Zoom open house that you can attend. If you just go to our website, you'll see a sidebar in the right-hand sidebar, click Visit Vanderbilt, and we can schedule you for a Zoom open house if you like. So I'll turn it back to Dr. McKinley at this point.
That was great. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. All right. So before we go to the Q&A with the students, what I do is I have my top 5 questions that I ask every program that joins us for a spotlight session. So I'm not sure if you guys cheated and listened to the last video to see what they are. But these are questions that I compiled with the help of some of my students to really see what are some of the things they really want to know from program directors. So the first question is there a particular thing that you love to see when you're reading an applicant's personal statement?
Something that's memorable, what they're bringing to Vanderbilt, not so much that they've copied something off our website and are repeating it back, but they've really thought about why they want to be a dietitian, what is it they've got that they're going to bring to this Nashville community, to the Vanderbilt community, and contribute while they're here. That's why we use the term difference makers. We're really looking for difference makers.
That's awesome. I love that term. Kerri, did you have something that you like to see?
I agree with Dianne. I also like to see people's goals, just to know kind of what their interests are and why those might be their interests. That to me is interesting to read about.
Perfect. All right. So this is a true or false question with a little bit of explanation afterwards. So true or false, an applicant's resume should always be 1 page and no more.
It depends. Can I use that?
That's perfect.
It could be and it couldn't be. But generally, I think it's 1 page on your starter. As you're starting out your career path, I think we see more 1-pagers than anything.
So the students with less experience have the 1-pagers and the more experienced or career changers have the longer one?
I think so. I think that's probably the trend that we see.
Okay. That's pretty much the advice I give, but I still like to ask programs what they think. So the third question, what is one thing that an applicant may do that is a total deal breaker for you? So this could be in a conversation, at a fair, a meeting with a student. Is there something that, or something they might write in the personal statement, is there just something like a red flag where you would say, nope, this person is not suitable for our internship?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a roundabout way. And that is to say that we're a little bit unique in how we select interns. We have a panel of about 20 different practitioners who are preceptors that sit on our panel. And everybody reviews applications. It's not a conversational process. We all do it in silence. And we all work with 100-point spread. So I might give 20 points to grade point average, 20 points to professional statement, 10 points to job, experience, volunteer, so forth and so on. So all these 20 people do that same ranking based on their level of expertise and what they think. We compile all of that into an Excel spreadsheet, and that becomes our ranking. So, I'm sure maybe somebody might pick up on somebody might have an idea of what a red flag is, but you have 20 people around the table. Everybody thinks differently. And at the end of the day, that's really what makes our program so exciting, is so many people participated, and we end up with a great group of interns.
That's awesome that you have that many that are looking at that. So something to think about, students. All right, question number 4. What is one area of the internship program that y'all are actively working to make even better for your interns?
Probably every angle, every opportunity. At the end of the year, interns provide feedback on, really throughout the year. After every rotation, they give feedback on what went well, what was challenging or not challenging, and, what changes they recommend. We do that at the end of the year as well. We take all of those suggestions to heart. And so, we are in a constant state of retooling, reformulating. The one thing I tell people is we are not status quo. We ride the wave of the marketplace. So there's nothing static in healthcare. And we don't want to be static either. So, I think our program is as real as it gets. We put people where the action is. And because of that, we're constantly in an innovative, creative, retooling state.
Perfect. All right, last question from me. This is a 2-parter. So what would be the best 3 adjectives that you would use to describe your program?
Well, I'm going to let Kerri start because I've been talking.
You're doing a great job. I'm going to say the first one I would say is innovative. So I feel like we always try to, like Dianne said, stay kind of on the cusp of things and see what's coming. So one example of that is using telehealth more during COVID. So different practitioners have been doing that. So we've been trying to find ways to incorporate that this year as a new thing. So kind of always being aware of what's going on in trends and how we can stay on top of that for our interns.
Yeah, I would just add one more lengthy adjective to that, and that is that we really work with the spirit of flex on the fly. Things change. We have to adapt quickly. That might not be an adjective, but anyway, I'm going to put it out there because that is something that we say all the time. We got to flex on the fly and make it happen.
All right. So the second part. So give me 3 adjectives to describe your ideal applicant.
Kerri and I will tag team. I'm going to say one, and Kerri, I'll let you say the next one. The ideal applicant, critical thinking skills.
Motivated.
And what would your last one be, Kerri, if I couldn't think of one on the spot?
Last adjective, I would say well-rounded, which may not be an adjective, but it's a good descriptor.
That's good. That's perfect. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to the students. We had some questions pop up in the chat that were really good. So this one's from Amanda. She wrote, I saw that the internship concentration is disease management and health promotion. What diseases or comorbidities are most commonly seen in the internship? And are the interns working in this area in a group setting, or are they doing this kind of work one-on-one?
Well, our top issues are really, you can look around and they mirror the population health issues. I would say diabetes, cardiac cancer, and children's health. And then Kerri, I'll let you answer the second part of that.
Sure. So in our disease management rotations, the vast majority are going to be independent. So each intern is one-on-one with their preceptor. That's really all but 1 week. And in 1 week, you have a partner. And so a lot of the time you are independent. Occasionally you have a partner. And in health promotions, you do have a partner to go out in the community with you, which is kind of nice if you have to go find somewhere new.
All right. So we have, what facility settings are the interns working with patients? Is it mostly inpatient, or is it a little bit of inpatient and outpatient? And is there aftercare? Is there an aftercare type setting?
We do inpatient and outpatient. And what would you mean by aftercare?
I don't know what that student meant by that.
I will say we do see patients after they've been discharged. Interns will see them in a medically based exercise center. So they get to see them maybe after cardiac surgery, before and after transplant. So they get that opportunity as well. And in fact, some interns get to see someone at time of transplant and then afterwards at that exercise facility. So that's always fun when the patient recognizes them.
That's really cool. All right. So this might be one that Mary Catherine can help us with. So it says that y'all keep up with your interns, do the post-grad surveys. Does there tend to be a trend, which I know you said before there's a variety, but does there tend to be a trend on where interns gravitate towards employment opportunities based off of the experience that they get with your internship?
Y'all want me to take this, Dianne and Kerri?
Sure.
Okay. So of my internship class, a lot of us did start out clinically, I would say, just because it can be beneficial to start your career in clinicals. You learn a lot. But, I mean, I did have some friends that went into WIC, and I had some friends. One of my friends from my internship class is working kind of in a food service job for Epic. So, like, she kind of does employee health for Epic, which is really cool. So if you don't know, Epic is one of the major electronic medical record systems, and the one that Vanderbilt uses. And yeah, a lot of times people kind of start out with their first job and they fizzle to different settings after a few years of experience. And I think that's one of the incredible things that Vanderbilt does, is it really made me feel like my options were limitless in nutrition, and that I had connections and network opportunities to bounce off of if I ever wanted to kind of try something new or go out and be innovative. So Does that answer the question?
I think so. Where are you at now, Mary Catherine?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Baton Rouge. I am a dietitian for Auctioner at the Grove, which is by the Mall, Louisiana. I've been here for almost 10 months. And I was hired to see bariatric surgery patients. So, pre-surgery, medically supervised diets, post-surgery and follow-up. But once I got here, they, slowly started adding on more caseloads. So I see, all of our cancer outpatient follow-up, and evals. I see anybody that needs an enteral feeding evaluation. I see CKD, celiac, GI. I see peds over the age of 2 because I don't have a baby scale, a lying down scale. I'm looking at my little list of patients that I see. Basically, I see everything but diabetes, because we have CDEs here that are solely diabetes. But I am in Baton Rouge, so if anybody ever needs advice or anything, I'm here to help.
Thanks, Mary Catherine.
Yeah.
All right, I have one more in the chat for the directors. So Amanda saw that a personal interview is not required for admission. So what aspects of the application package are you really looking at to determine if a potential applicant is suitable for the program?
We look at all of them, every piece of it from start to finish. We look at attention to detail in filling out the application. We look at grammar, punctuation, all of those things. We look at if you selected references I like references that have known you for 6 months or more, as opposed to, gee, I've known them for 30 days. And the same thing with volunteer and work experiences. Select folks that have known you or tell us about those experiences that you've done for 6 months or more. Again, just really thorough. And, as you do your personal statement, let other people read it. Make sure they understand it. And just take your time in crafting that personal statement. It's very important. And as you select your references for your application, make sure they know you. Make sure you've made an attempt to reach out and talk with them about your goals, and that they can really speak to who you are and what you're about. Kerri might have something else to add to that.
Sure. So like Dianne said, we look at the whole thing, but I would also add that if you are interested in Vanderbilt, to definitely look into the open houses or reach out to Dianne or I. We respond to email, phone calls. We'd love to hear from you and meet you at an open house.
So is there ever a circumstance where you've decided to do an interview because maybe you were on the fence about a particular applicant? Have you ever used an interview to make a final decision?
We really have not, because again, we work with this group of 20 different people that review applications. And so that's where our decision points come from, is that group consensus.
Okay, great. All right.
And then the other piece of it is that not everybody can, travel for an interview or be in person. So anyway, we just work with our committee selection process.
Perfect. That was going to be my other question. So is it just too much work? Because we now train our students here at LSU to do video interviews. So if you ever want to do them, they'll be ready.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to the students that are live with us. Does anyone have a question they want to ask or want to type in the chat? Because we have a few more minutes. So far, we've gotten a lot of good questions that we took care of. They might be overwhelmed with how much information you gave them. But it was very thorough. I thank you for that. Any last questions from the students? Sarah would like to say thank y'all so much for taking the time out. Very helpful. Cleopatra doesn't have any questions. All right, since it doesn't seem like the students have any additional questions, is there anything else that y'all would like to share with us about Vanderbilt?
Well, I just like to tell your students just in general that I think you've chosen an awesome career path. The good thing about being a dietitian is I think you'll always have a job because everybody eats and somebody's always going to be sick. And, or somebody always wants to stay well, but you'll never be without a job. And, it is a great profession. A lot of different opportunities. You can just get so many different things to do, but wherever you land for an internship, it's where you're supposed to be. And, you've worked hard. And as I said, wherever you land, you really drive that process of internship selection. So, whatever your ranking is, that just make sure that go with your gut on that. And, wherever your top choice is, list that. Because we submit our numbers and then they match with yours and you really drive that process. So I'm excited for you, and I think you have a great future ahead.
All right. Any other last words, Kerri, Mary Catherine?
Thank you so much for having us to come talk about Vanderbilt. We love to talk to students and get your questions and just reach out to you now. And we'd love to hear from you if you have any questions later on.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say from an LSU alum perspective, LSU prepared me incredibly for Vanderbilt. But also know that at Vanderbilt, they don't expect you to be a dietitian when you walk in the door. And that is very relieving. On the first day, they said, you're not perfectionist. You're not perfect. So let yourself be a student. It's going to be okay. And I really feel like Vanderbilt taught me a lot about that and taught me a lot about giving myself grace and not being a perfectionist. So know that you are prepared. You will do great in an internship. And Vanderbilt was an incredible experience for me. So I fully 100% recommend it to anybody that's interested in going to Nashville.
So I did have one more question now that you just mentioned that. So as an intern, Mary Catherine, how did you handle moving from Baton Rouge up to Nashville? Did you link up with one of the other interns and be roommates? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, so I lived with two interns. I think the day after we matched, we all made a little group me. And I lived with two girls, one from New York and one from Texas, and I grew up in Texas, so that was very familiar for me. And we hung out a lot, especially at the beginning. You hang out with your intern class a lot, and then you kind of find some friends. There's a few that I still talk to regularly. A ton texted me when I got engaged. I texted all them. So that was really fun. And then, it's also very important and very healthy to try to find friends outside of the internship. So for me, I got very involved in, church young adult groups. I texted some people because everybody's moving to Nashville. There's a ton of young people. You're bound to know somebody that knows somebody. So reaching out to those people, going to grab dinner, and maybe it'll turn into a lifelong friend. You never know. But I have probably two friends that weren't in my internship that I just met organically by living in Nashville through joining service opportunities or whatever, that are very, very close friends of mine that I've actually gotten to see multiple times in the past year. So moving to Nashville was great, and I'm a full advocate on moving somewhere fun for a year because it's a year, and you can always move back if you hate it, but you won't hate Nashville. So
thanks so much. All right, this was great. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And those at home, if you're interested in getting more information about the dietetic internship at Vanderbilt Medical Center, check out the link that I provided in the description below this video. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode or a spotlight session with a dietetic internship. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.